Okay, hi everyone. We are here to remember Rudi Mathon, that we just learned has passed away in May. And Rudi was my supervisor. And then we're gonna have a little time now just to have some words about him by me and some other people that know him before me. So let me see, I haven't tried this yet. It works. So this is the website of Rudy at the University of Toronto. You can get a few facts that might be curious. He did his undergraduate in mechanical engineering and did his master's and PhD in Toronto in numerical analysis. And then here it says that he became full professor in 82 after 10 years after his PhD ended. This website is not updated. After that, he has retired. I don't have the exact date, but I believe it was 2005, 2006. So he's an emeritus. Oh, sorry, you can't hear? Oh, okay. Okay, move closer. Okay, but I have something written here. So, okay, sorry, I thought it was amplifying. Now it's better? Yes, okay. So did you miss something? A little bit. Okay, mechanical engineering, UofT, he finished his PhD in numerical analysis in 72, became a full professor in 82. This is the website, and you all know him as a design theorist. And then we'll move on. So I think he became an emeritus professor around 2005 and he retired. I looked up Google Scholar now, before, and I was a student, there was no Google Scholar, so there is his publications there. You'll see that he has important citations in his work in numerical analysis, and then lots of design, Steiner systems, geometry, computational methods in design theory. We'll have time to talk about his math later. Another thing I found last night was he has a publication in 2020 with Vladimir Tonchev. So I'm curious about, I haven't, I know the title of it, but I think I lost the paper now. But it has to do with geometries and arcs. And so he has a new publication. So probably Tonchev convinced him to do some mathematics more lately, right? Because as far as I knew, he was not doing much mathematics lately. Here is from the archives of Jeff Dinitz. He provided us a picture from British Combinatory Conference in 1991. Another one from Jeff's archive, shaking the hands of Doug, and there is Jeff. And this was 96. And then I want to talk about the time I was a student with him. So that's what I remember. I think it's around 96. And this is a picture that we could get several students of Rudy at the time. So this is me, Rudy, Luis Disset from Chile, who did a thesis in partial geometry. Joanna, I forgot Joanna's last name, but she was a very good friend of us. And Ali Mahmoudi, who was the senior in the group, he was finishing his thesis in directed designs at the time. When the handbook was arriving, he already had a chapter there. So that is the student year. I want to say some things about the student years, my student years. But I have a few minutes. So, as a researcher, Rudi Mathon was a design theorist, and he was a computer whiz, right? But there are several, computer whiz. But really, what was contagious about him is that he was there. I would go there in his office. his door was always open. I would say, can I talk to you about something? He, would come in, but then he would tell me, oh yes, I was just trying to find this design. So his motivation in the computational methods, he was trying to find those beautiful designs. And then he would explain what beautiful things he had found. He was mining those jewels, and the computer was just a way to get there, So he had the motivation of a mathematician, and he was looking for those beautiful things that, you needed the computer to be able to find. So that's certainly, my experience of Rudy as a student. And then as a person, if I have to think about two things to say, he was very low key, right? He was low key. He was low key and very generous. Low key, that you search for things, you don't find many things online, because he was low key. He was, doing all these things and not making too much fuss about. And then the other thing I remember from those years is that, his colleagues that would pop up from time to time in conversation. But I always remember, every once in a while, Alex Rosa came from Hamilton, and he would come, and they were busy at something that at that time I not even know everything they were busy with. So Alex Rosa, constant visits. In the winter, he would spend, those times he would spend 1 month or 2 months in winter, working with Anne Street in Australia. So he would leave the Canadian winter and work with Anne. That was my memory of what was happening at that time. Okay, so that was maybe what I want to talk about in a short time. Then fast forwarding a bit, this I think he has already retired, and we met again at Alex Rosa's 70th birthday. So I found this picture and that's his wife, Helen. That is the only picture I had of Helen, and she's not facing the camera. But you see, the same, very happy, open face of Rudy here. And then the last time, okay, and this was the same time. You can see some of the people here, some other researchers here that are either here or online, like Magliveros, I think is online. And this is Peter Gibbons, another student of Rudy who did, late Peter Gibbons, who did a lot of work they both together in computational methods in design theory. This is the last time I saw Rudy, February 2020, right before the lockdown. By a coincidence, I was at a conference in Honolulu, and Tom Chev told him I was at the conference, and then we met. So that was the last time we met. So I learned he was enjoying his retirement. He was spending every winter 2 months. He would rent this place and spend his winter in Honolulu. And I think he was enjoying his retirement. And was very active. He said, I like to walk. Okay, so let's walk. And this was after a hike we did to a mountain there. And that's what I want to talk about. And I will call some other people to talk about other aspects of Rudy, other colleagues that know, have a longer history of Rudy than me. And the first person I'd like to call is Derek Corneil, who was professor sharing an office with Rudy, a corridor with Rudy for I don't know how many years in the combinatorics group. I think I should pass this on to you. Okay. Maybe you can help a bit. Oh, you prefer to use this?
Yes.
Okay.
I usually share. I've known Rudy for a long time. And it was such a shock to get the word 2 days ago that he had passed. First reaction, of course, was one of incredible sadness and compassion for Helen and Eric. But then I started to laugh. The good memories came in. And the best memories were not mathematical memories. The best memories were of Rudy, Helen, Eric, my wife and myself, and our 2 or 3 kids, depending on the time. And this was at the conference in Boca Raton, the Southeastern Conference, the best conference that NSERC has ever supported. And that is not a biased comment. So, and Rudy, the fun we had together, and Peter Gibbons and his family, it was all tremendously important type of thing in our lives. He was very approachable, had an incredible general knowledge, could talk about any topic, and Rudy could immediately exceed what you'd said. Enjoy memories of Rudy. That's what he would have wanted, and he was a very good friend. As mentioned, our offices were kitty corner for about 25, 30 years. And we were on each other's students' committees, and we co-supervised a couple of students, a couple of papers together, and the students. Rudy was always a great person, a kind person, and I miss him a lot. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Derek. Eric, would you like to come up now from across departments, from the math department? Another.
I was also cross-appointed to computer science. Rudy had an incredible impact on combinatorics in Toronto. Before I go on with what I was going to say, I think we should all, it was mentioned, remember Peter Gibbons. Some of us knew him. Before he came, as far as the math department was concerned, combinatorics was, well, graph theory was the slums of topology, and I wouldn't go to where the hell you would have combinatorics. And in computer science, designs were some example of a strongly regular graph, but he had a huge impact. And I was very happy that he was my friend. And he had a great influence. I remember that smile, that never left. I saw him about 2 years ago, or maybe it was last year, just walking along Bloor Street towards a restaurant. And I said, well, can we get together? He said, no, I'm just getting the takeout, and then we're heading up to Georgian Bay. He moved from Prague to Toronto, to Hawaii, to Toronto, to Georgian Bay, and back and forth between Toronto and Georgian Bay, and he passed away in Georgian Bay. He also has an incredible side to this. I spent all day trying to locate the obituary of his father. But when his father died, and his father was here in Toronto because of Rudy. When his father died, there was an obituary in the Globe and Mail pointing him out as one of the most distinguished Czech psychiatrists. And because Rudy came here, his father, whose name I wished I knew, came and practiced here for most of his, the rest of his life. There are more details on that, but on what he was and what he did. I told Bill Martin about it, but they're not for public consumption. If you want to ask Bill, he may or may not tell you. And with that, I just want to say, look at that smile and say, bye, Rudy. Was really a pleasure to know you. Thank you. Are there any questions?
So next, Charlie Coburn.
So hard to get started. When I found out, I contacted one of Rudy's students, Marlene Jones, who some of you may remember, who was Rudy's student who graduated in 1980 and did some work in design theory. And got a message back from her that said, well, thanks for sending me the news, no matter how sad it is. Rudy was a wonderful advisor, but more than that, he was one of the nicest people I ever knew. And to me, that really summarized a lot about what everyone felt about Rudy. If you'll be patient with me for a minute, I'm going to try and read a portion of an email as well. So I won't drop the mic. So this is from Alex Rosa. And he said, when you will be talking about Rudy, you should mention that while he was a superb mathematician, he was one of the most modest people that I knew. He was born May 1940 in Komotov, Czechoslovakia. Many more objects should have been named after him, not just the Maton plane of Order 16. His passing is a huge loss for the combinatorics community. He was very well read. Besides English and Czech, he also spoke German and Russian. I think all of us have memories of Rudy that are going to be with us forever. I have to say that in my career, there are a few people who changed my life. I had no idea what I was going to do when I got to the University of Toronto and tried to figure out what life was all about. And one of the first things that happened to me that really set me on the right course was I walked into Derek Corneil's first year computer science class and I realized this is what I want to do. But very soon after that, I got a job programming a graph isomorphism algorithm for Rudi Mathon. And I was just listening to Simon's talk and it reminded me because I said to Rudy, I don't understand combinatorics. And Rudy said, Charlie, count everything twice. And I kept saying, but Rudy, I don't really understand. No, count everything twice. Well, then I thought, okay, this is exciting. This is what I want to do. I mean, Rudy really made me realize that there was a great world of research out there that I wanted to follow. And Rudy said to me, but for your interests, you want to work with Derek. And I said, well, I do. Derek is wonderful professor. But Derek was going on sabbatical and Rudy took me aside and said, go to Waterloo. Go to Waterloo, do your master's there, and then come back and work with Derek. Well, I did. Because Rudy understood what I needed when I still didn't. So I came back. I was reading the acknowledgements in my master's thesis at Waterloo. And after thanking my two advisors there, the next person I thank is Rudi Mathon for all of his guidance, all of his insight, all of his help. And when I came back to Toronto, I frequently got to go to lunch with Rudy and just talk about what he was working on, what he was doing. And if you think about it, you can guess where we had lunch. 2 buildings along is the Clark Institute of Psychiatry. And we would go there for lunch frequently, and he would take students with him, and he would just tell us ideas, things, and you'd say, well, but Rudy, this is your idea. And he'd say, no, you know, you work on it, you understand it. So I managed to finish a PhD, and then I was, well, what next? And Rudy said, talk to Alex Rosa. Well, of course, anyone who knows me knows that talking to Alex Rosa was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. But I look back now and I think that Rudy was instrumental in so many of the decisions I made early on. And I wish he were here so that I could thank him in person again for all the things he did, for all the people he helped, and for the number of times he shone the spotlight on someone else when he had come up with the ideas, with the insight, with the brilliance that was needed. So it's sad to lose someone who made that kind of contribution, but it's particularly sad to lose someone who was such a good friend to many of us here. So I think I better stop there.
Thank you. Okay, so I had two sets of slides. This one has the typo. The second one had it's 19. So typo correction is 1940. Okay, so I think we all can gather in the coffee break and mingle and talk and see old friends like Derek that's here to visit us. And thank you, everyone.